John Steinbeck as a Nobel Peace Prize winner and a critically acclaimed author. But who really was he? The Conspiracy Crew will crack this case on this episode of Getting Lit with Literature. First, let's hear what the public has to say.
Did you know that John Steinbeck had an affair with Ernest Hemingway?
Now, the records show that Steinbeck and I were not lovers, but if we were, allegedly, he's very bad in bed.
As an AP US literature teacher, I have to say that all signs indicate that John Steinbeck was a fraud, and I think his wife wrote his books.
John Steinbeck is by far and away the worst author that mankind has ever seen, right? Of Mice and Men? There aren't even any mice in the book. The title doesn't make any sense. It should just be called Of Men. Secondly, The Grapes of Wrath? Grapes can't feel anything, not much less wrath. It doesn't make any sense. Can you believe this man has a Nobel Prize? The highest prize we award in literature was given to this guy who can't even title a book? It's absurd. John Steinbeck is just by far and away the most garbage author.
John Steinbeck married his cousin.
John Steinbeck is a part of the Illuminati.
Oh, Steinbeck? He stole the Nobel Prize from Oprah.
Anders Osterling wrote John Steinbeck's Peace Prize presentation, but something fishy was going on. First, John Steinbeck has 13 letters in his name. Anders Osterling has 15 letters, but when you subtract 2 from those 2 dots over the O, you get 13 letters. But that's not all. Anders Osterling won the 9 Points Award when he was 35, and John Steinbeck won the Drama Circle Critics Award when he was 35 as well. But, as you can see, he went to Europe when he was 35. Now, what do we have here? Both of them were 35 years old when they won their first award. Both of them were in Europe, and both of them have 13 letters in his name. What do we have? We have a blood cult, where 35-year-old men that go to Europe and have 13 letters in their name go and succeed. Blood brothers. They were blood brothers.
Now a message from our sponsor.
The Wayward Bus Company is a family-owned, quaint bus line connecting 2 large commercial lines. Here at Wayward, we want to be your go-to for every important event. A family trip to Mexico, running away to Hollywood, leaving and starting a new life just because you're bored? We've got you covered. Just come down to Rebel Corners, California and book your bus trip today.
Guys, I was just pitching up a works cited page, and while it seems like a lot of every conspiracy disproving his importance in American literature is like false.
We need to find some real evidence.
All the evidence we need. Let's sit down and discuss. Alright, it seems like all these books are connected by one central theme: the true American struggle. John Steinbeck definitely demonstrated his understanding of the varied American lifestyle through a multitude of his books. This was seen most obviously when he was able to connect themes such as power struggle in very different settings. For example, in Grapes of Wrath, the power struggle was concerning money. The main characters, the Joad family, is screwed over in the Great Depression and wrestle with constant and excruciating poverty. Their poverty and that of those around them is used to demonstrate the human hunger for hope and the tendency towards goodness that is brought out in those who are experiencing hardship together. Next, in The Wayward Bus, there are only 9 characters in the simple setting of a desert diner in a small bus line. The conflict among all of the characters is intertwined throughout their complicated life stories in differing social classes. The dramas that come from their close proximity allow for a novel full of struggles that all people can identify with. Next, in Tortilla Flat, Steinbeck pointedly portrays the idea through Danny and his band of Passianos. When Danny inherits 2 houses from his late grandfather, his status on Tortilla Flat quickly shifts from a free vagabond to a reputable figure. Danny's shift in power negatively impacts both his general and intimate relationships, demonstrating that an increase in power can be adverse in one's life. Finally, East of Eden. It's a big one. East of Eden highlights the struggles of growing up with the constant presence of good and evil, fighting to gain control of one's life. The illusion of the biblical story of Cain and Abel makes the story all more influential and important to creating an impact on a large population of people. After the close analysis of these 4 significant works, we can conclude that Steinbeck's understanding over a broad group of American people gave him the ability to reach different types of audiences and unlock the true meaning of the American spirits.
In his presentation of the Nobel Peace Prize, Anders Åsling seems to speak very highly of John Steinbeck. He mentions that Steinbeck is very deserving of the prize through all his literary works. He mentions Steinbeck's upbringing in Salinas, California, and how his diversified childhood allowed him to be able to see different points of view and overall experiences in America. He quotes, "It has been said that in the United States, this book came as a welcome antidote to the gloom of the then prevailing depression." He also says that Steinbeck tellingly displays in his sensitive conscience, like a prism, is a whole body of questions which bear on the nation's welfare problems. This is done without any theorizing, using concrete or even trivial everyday situation, which are none of the less convincing when described with all of Steinbeck's vigorous and realistic verve. Even with his insistence on the factual, there are harmonic tones of daydreaming, fumbling speculations around the eternal theme of life and death. Anders Åsling, a noble name in literature, seems to believe that through Steinbeck's demonstration of the American psyche, he can appeal to many audiences, so he definitely deserved the Nobel Peace Prize.
Steinbeck further demonstrated his worthiness of the Nobel Prize in his humbling acceptance speech. He forewent the normal customs of Nobel Prize winners, saying, "It is customary for the recipient of this award to offer personal or scholarly comment on the nature and the direction of literature. At this particular time, however, I think it would be well to consider the high duties and the responsibilities of the makers of literature. By going above and beyond to consider the responsibilities of writers such as himself instead of merely examining literature, Steinbeck is proving that his intents truly are amazingly selfless and worthy of the prize." He then says that such is the prestige of the Nobel Award and of this place where I stand that I am impelled not to squeak like a grateful and apologetic mouse, but to roar like a lion out of pride in my profession and in the great and good men who have practiced it throughout the ages. Again, showing that his considerations are purely good. This acceptance speech, when considered with the opinions of the public shown earlier in the video, the math just doesn't add up.
So what do all of these things all have in common? Well, Steinbeck, debunked. Miss Mose, too perfect to be wrong. The public, all suffering from delusions from a malaria outbreak in the U.S., they are no longer credible, especially the guy who pretended to be Hemingway as he is long dead. And finally, the cult was disbanded in 1936. What do we have left? The acceptance speech, the presentation speech, and the books. The proof is in the pudding. We have debunked this conspiracy.
This production was brought to you by Grapes of Wrath Wine. It was made with the blood, sweat, and tears of the Okies and fermented with their overall eggs. Cheers, ladies!
Cheers!
Thanks for watching!
We should yell chug.
Okay, sit down. I feel like maybe I should be the one standing up saying it.
Yeah, sure. Michelle,
Yeah.
sit down.
Okay.
Recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This production was brought to you by Grapes of Wrath Wine, made with the blood, sweat, and tear of the Okies, and tear? It's fine.
Let's go to the gas station and get a bottle opener.
That's how to open.
Or just like after we can.
You got it?
It hurts, doesn't it? We face this first so we can get
Okay, how to open it without bottle opener? Hey! Are you recording? Any shelvable edge or countertop?
Yeah!
Are
Edge!
you...
Wait, here, let me try.
Ow!
You can't use your hand though, it hurts too much.
Yeah. Gotta put it against that. Alright, Phoebe, you got this. This is not gonna work. Shoot, guys. Okay, how to open a bottle without a bottle opener. That's what we're gonna do.
Your keys? Yeah. Or someone's keys? Anything other than
Are we still recording?
Yeah, we are. Examine your environment. Strong scissors. Okay.
Wait,
Big spoon.
Let's just go across the street and ask for another bottle opener. He's like, can you just like open
Try opening a bottle with a lighter. Does anybody have a lighter?
Not on me. No.
Vending machine. Ooh. Household items. Does anyone wearing a belt?
That's a dog.
Oh gosh. Struggle. Oh, a remover? Thanks. If we had a remover, that would be helpful. I know. An electrical device cord?
Should we just ask somebody?
Nope.
It's great.
Sticking in a door jamb. Ooh. On the edge of something. Oh, a ring. Is anybody wearing a ring?
No, not a very fun to even do it either.
Wait, do like a crowbar kind of move. Do we have something to do that with?
That's what we use for keys.
No, but like,
Let's literally like the gas station will definitely have a bottle opener.
Do you want to ask?
but then we have to buy one.
Or just
I have cash.
I mean,
Handcuffs!
the cost
Get arrested.
To my knowledge, the cost.
Yeah, let's just get arrested.
It's turning.
Exactly.
But it doesn't go.
It doesn't work.
They cost like a quarter. And if anything, just ask them like, can we just open just one bottle?
Well, it's definitely wrapped, right? Can we just puncture a hole? Okay, should one of us just run over there? Would someone come? I'm filming this. Someone like running back. Success! Did you do it? What?
We did it!
Woo!
Here's the cat.
Thanks, Martinelli's! Yeah, Martinelli's! Yeah! Okay.
I want to keep this.
Woo!
We should keep that.
Just do it. Okay. We need to actually film. Alright. Tasty.
In his presentation for the Nobel Peace Prize, Anders Osterling speaks. It's okay. And experiences
It's okay.
display in his sensitive conscience irradiated like a prism. Mentioned Steinbeck's unrubbing, vigorous and realistic verve. In literature seems to believe that this.
I forgot what I was supposed to say. It's like the true American spirit. Struggle. Nope. Let's try that.
We need to hop off the internet and find some real books.
What do you have to say about John Steinbeck?
John Steinbeck.
The Conspiracy Crew will crack this case on this week's episode of Getting Lit with Literature.
Well, it seems that a lot of that, well, every conspiracy is proving his importance in I know, sorry.
Okay.